Madam President, Mr. President, the party was very good last night. Now the bad news. World War III could happen in your first year in office. Mr. President, why do you think India insists on having an atomic bomb? Why? Because the Tibetan Plateau is the biggest source of fresh water in the world. Half of the world's population, I'll have to do that. Half of the world's population is fed by the Tibetan Plateau. Fresh water, rivers flowing down through India and Pakistan. And for once, India and Pakistan are friends. Why? Because China is building mountains of cement that will redirect the water into China exclusively for hydroelectric power and fresh water. And they would cut it off in a series of weeks. India knows this, and they would use nuclear power to make a change. India has tried to get conversations with China, and it's not working. Mr. President, my department and I are putting the plan together already. We would like to know your feelings about this, what recommendations you would have, and then we'd like a meeting with you next week. I'll bring my team in to talk to you and the Chief of Staff. Mr. President, we could avoid nuclear warfare, or we could see it happen. We have to act fast. So, fellow Toastmasters, what did we just do there? What I'd like you to do, now this is going to be a lot of download, a lot of information. It won't be too interactive except for this part. I would like you to pair off in twos, and where there's an odd person out, include in threes, and break down into elements, components of what I just did there. Think it of an elevator pitch. And we'll define all that in a second. But what did I just do there? Break it down into simple parts. By the way, thought leaders, to be a thought leader, it's one thing to be a great speaker, it's one thing to be a great writer, but when you provide systems and models of things, people then use them and they think of you as a thought leader. So let's break it down. What kind of model could we build around an elevator pitch with what I just did, or what you see as an ideal elevator pitch? I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Pair off in twos or threes, and just break it down into components. What happened there? 60 seconds. Okay, time's up. Time's up, 60 seconds is all we're going to give you. Anyone want to offer anything? Sebastian, gracias.
A very bad problem.
Very bad problem, okay. Yeah, that was a big component. Anything else? What else was happening? Showing my palms, I'm vulnerable. Help me out, I'm up on stage, nobody's talking. Gavin. Okay. Okay, very specific course of action. Was that a final course of action? Okay. Okay, good. What else happened? The opening. Tension-grabbing opening. Good. Good, has to be. And not just in an elevator pitch, in any presentation. What else?
Finding their real needs.
Sorry?
Finding their real needs.
Okay, finding the needs. Okay, and the president's agenda. Do you want World War III to happen on your watch, first year? You're going to get the blame. Welcome. Anything else? I can't hear you? Second meeting. Right. Very seldom in an elevator pitch do we get our desired course of action. In fact, in any pitch, very rarely, if we go into a sales pitch, very often do we get the deal the first time we meet with a client. So what you want to get there are little agreements along the way, small investments along the way. And we're going to talk about that. But let's define what is an elevator pitch. Okay. An elevator pitch is? Close. I'm sorry? Close. Okay. Anyone else? Short. Jim?
Quick.
Short, quick. Short, quick, to the point. There's a lot of adjectives in here. Maybe we throw a noun in there. A short, quick, to the point. Hook. Proposal. You want to make a proposal. You want to get a decision in your favor. Okay. So in a very short. Now the name comes from you get in the lift, you get in the elevator with the CEO, and by the time you get to the top floor, you have made your pitch. That's where it comes from. Okay. Now, that's great if you're in New York or Shanghai and the CEO is up on the top floor. In Bilbao, I don't know, maybe one or two buildings here. But basically, it never really happens in an elevator. It can happen anywhere. And the thing is, we have to be prepared. Because I was once with a CEO when I had something on my mind and I wanted to get into a proposal. And I had that moment and I wasn't prepared. And I knew that if I proposed it, I would have failed because I wasn't prepared. So we always should be ready to go when that opportunity happens. And of course, if you get an appointment for 5 minutes with the CEO, you're going to prepare. So it rarely happens in an elevator. It needs to be quick. We should always be prepared. And we should always propose an initial piece of action on the other side. Like, how about another meeting with the right people in the room? That is what an elevator pitch is. If you go in and say, I need a $1 million budget and here's why, the CEO is going to say no. Honey, I think we should move and sell the house. That's going to be a little bit resistant. Hey, I think we should talk about this and get it going, small little increments. That's what you want to achieve. What do we want to achieve? Small little first action. And with first actions, they lead to second actions. So, yin yang, how many people know anything about the yin yang? I know you do. Yin yang, what is it? Yes. For example, the time it takes to be in an elevator. I'll answer that in a minute. Does anyone else know the yin yang? Does anyone know what yin yang is? Aha. Okay. Does anyone know what is the significance of the yin yang? Yeah, we're complementary. How? The yin yang, and this is the heart of what we're going to talk about today, the yin yang is, there's always a little masculine in the feminine, there's always a little feminine in the masculine, but basically, without each other, we don't work. There's the aggressor, the passive. Okay? The sun and the darkness. There's always a little bit, and the yang is the energetic one, the aggressive one. And the yin is the subtle one, gets things done otherwise. Okay? And so what we can deduce from the yin yang for the elevator pitch is, in my view, that yang is the storyteller. Yang is the big opening fact. Take my breath away, hit me in the face, and then the yin is asking questions and moving to action in a more subtle way. And that is where the engagement is. Listening is actually more persuasive than talking. But you need to get the conversation going. You need to navigate this. You want to have a course of action. You want to get something done. So in yang, you have to plant the seed, plant the vision, propose a direction, and then ask questions and listen. That is the heart of engagement. The biggest trust builder in sales is the most underrated one, and that is listening. But how do you listen? By asking questions. So the killer app in engagement is asking good questions, not just any questions. Okay, so here it is. Here's my presentation today, okay? Best practices in short form of storytelling. Yang is the storyteller. and yin is the question asker. How are we going to ask questions? That's it. So we can all go home now. Let's have a coffee break. That's it. Propose and then have coffee. But of course, no, we have to provide more value than that. Okay? Yang being the aggressive one is you really want to go big or stay home. I was watching a video of Sebastian's that he has online. I linked through it through Facebook. And you and I agree on something, and we're not the first ones to say this, but I know we both believe it, and we talk about it all the time. If you have an opportunity to speak at a conference, and they introduce you, and up you go, and you walk, and here he is, and you go, well, thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. And when they called me, and when they contacted me, dead. Just go up there and kill them in the first sentence. Go up there. Tell a story, a surprising piece of data. Take their breath away. Okay? Take their breath away. And how do you take people's breath away? As Churchill said, I'm sorry for the long letter, my dear, but I didn't have time to make it short. It takes work. I am an editor. I was trained in the university as an editor and as a writer. And I think a lot of that is great for presentations and speeches. I'm a content freak. I'm not a delivery freak. Everything I do in Toastmasters, my whole journey has been about honing content and honing material. And the brevity is the soul of wit. Who said that? Shakespeare. Brevity is the soul of wit. With brevity, there is impact. And with brevity, it is very, very compelling. Only through brevity. When we start getting long-winded, even if we are dynamic speakers, but when it's too long, people start daydreaming. Or if they don't start daydreaming, they might be listening to everything and miss the point. Keep it short. And so much of presentation is boiling it right down to the essence. It takes so much work. It takes so much work. Churchill was on a train crossing Europe, and he wrote a letter to his wife, and he knew that when he got in his city, he was going to post the letter. So he just wrote it and wrote it and wrote it and said, I'm sorry for the long letter. I didn't have time to make it short. That's where the work is. That's where the work is in preparing your elevator pitch. Getting it down to something very short. Because with shortness, it becomes compelling and catchy. Compelling and catchy. Emotional triggers. Emotional triggers is how you grab somebody and pull them in and make them say, wow, we have to pay attention to this. Wow, we have a problem that we got to solve. Wow, these people are good. Maybe we should buy from them. So in the beginning, when the stage is yours, grab them with something very compelling. Make it very simple, because we want to go after emotional triggers. We want to go after emotional triggers. You open the meeting and they don't take their eyes off you. Their mouth is hanging open. And somebody is thinking, we got to work with these people. We got to work with these people. You can only do that through simplicity. Take my breath away. Emotional triggers. Now, if you go in and you talk to a CEO, you don't want to say, sit on the yoga mat, man. Stay with your feelings. I want you to get emotional with me. You have to keep it in the context of their business. And if it's not a CEO, if it's anything, your club president, your partner, okay? You want to keep it relevant. Somebody's buying a house and you're selling it to them. You want to keep it in the cerebral part of what the business is about, what the affair is about, but you're calculating it so that when you say it, it's simple and it punches them right in the heart. And they lean forward saying, I want to work with these people. I want to solve this problem. This is something we can't neglect. And that comes through simplicity. Emotional triggers are never triggered through complexity. Complexity is the enemy of motivation. You're walking through the fields of Africa. A lion walks out and looks at you and says, lunch. You have a very simple problem. But I bet you're not going to take out your mobile phone and say, I think I'll SMS the Asian office to see how sales are. Okay? You're not going to be very distracted. Honey, should we refinance the house? You're not going to do that. You have a simple problem. Not very complex. Not very complex. So really try to boil it down to something China and India are going to go at it, and it's going to be nuclear, and it's going to happen in your first year on the job, Mr. President. Okay? I'm glad you're enjoying your first day. Okay? But go out there and crush it. Whenever I'm asked to open a meeting or go on stage and speak at a conference, I don't go for mediocrity. Okay? Is that arrogant? No. First of all, I want to get your attention so that I can give you a gift, and I can give you something. I can give you some valuable stuff. But if I don't do that, you're going to start daydreaming. Then I've got a problem providing my value to you. So go up there and crush it and get everybody looking forward. Be great. Don't go for mediocrity, and go for emotion. It was Shakespeare who said, "Who has loved, who has not loved at first sight? Take my breath away. Get me leaning forward." Okay? Harry Potter, 7 long books, 1,080,000 words, and by the second page, she hooks you. It was a normal night on Privet Drive, but something was lurking in the shadows. I read all 7 books to my kids. By page 2, they were all of a sudden there. Something was lurking in the shadows. Okay, she hooked us on page 2, and 7 books later, more and more and more people were watching and reading. We're watching and reading. So if you go to a conference and you open, and 50% of the audience is looking at you, going, "Yeah, I'm glad somebody's saying this." And 50% of the audience is going, "No way, no way." That's great. That's right where I want to be. Because at the coffee break, when the naysayers go out and say, "You wouldn't believe this guy, what he was just saying," then somebody else will go, "Really? Well, I kind of like that. Who is he?" And they'll go online and they'll search you. And so the naysayers sell you too. The naysayers say you too. But I would rather have 50% of the audience disagreeing with me, 50% of the audience agreeing with me, than have 80% of the audience looking at their mobile phones and saying, "Hey, we missed that guy at the coffee break. We got to catch up with him before he goes to the airport." No, I want eyes on me, and it's not an ego thing. I want to sell. I want to add value. I want you to come away from this and go on my website and maybe talk to your boss. And that's what you should want to. You're taking notes. Okay, well, tweet, go ahead, Facebook me. It's cool. It's cool. No, thank you for taking notes. As I said, download. That's no more workshop. It's lecture. Sorry. So, okay, captivate. Now, as I mentioned before, emotions are only triggered with simplicity. Okay? Go for the heart as much as the brain. Do not neglect the brain. The CEO wants you to get to business. Your life partner wants it to be relevant to things happening in the home or your entertained life or whatever. Okay? But Dale Carnegie said, remember, when dealing with humans, you're dealing with creatures of emotion more than you're dealing with creatures of rationale. We have these brains, we think we're the superior beings on earth, and we are, but we are cave people. The emotions are not feelings. Feelings are what you think about after you have an emotional moment, and you ponder it, and you talk about it, and you have a drink, and okay, male, female, whatever. Feelings are things that linger. Emotions are 100% spontaneous. Emotions protect us. Emotions protect us from the lion. They protect us from danger, okay? And they also drive us to opportunity. But if we ever have to cure the desire to conquer fear or conquer the opportunity, we're going to deal with fear first. We're going to deal first. And when you can deal with both of them, you could have nuclear warfare in your term as president, or we could solve it. You've just played the 2 biggest drivers of human behavior are fear and hope. Fear and hope, I believe, are the 2 biggest drivers of human behavior. Do not underestimate fear. Yeah, it's nice. Hey, let's go live a happy life. Neglect fear. We're humans. We're animals. We are never going to be fearless in our lifetimes. Forget it. It's an ideal. We'll never be. But when you're pitching a proposal, don't neglect it. Don't neglect people's fear. You will have them leaning forward. You will have their attention. And you will have them desiring to solve a problem. So, formula writing. Why formula writing? Okay. Well, I guarantee so many movies that you have seen and loved have been written with formulas. And you go, come on, that's not very artistic. That's not creative. You know, Picasso, look at those paintings. He just went up there and threw paint on canvas. No. Picasso did not just throw paint on canvas. He had a lot of techniques. Joan Miró had a lot of techniques. That came with time. And it looked rather spontaneous. A great public speaker looks more spontaneous when they're prepared and they're using great tools. They make it look so easy. Man, they've got decades of practice. They've really worked on this presentation. It looks so easy. Formula writing, it's not creative. Yes, it is, okay? Creativity requires structure. The best advertising briefs, when a client briefs an agency, okay, are very structured. And then they say, within this structure, get as creative as you want. But if you come outside of that structure, you're not solving our problem. You're not helping us exploit an opportunity. So there should be structure to your creativity. And formula writing is one of those things. Now, I was the District 59 champion of humor in 2006. It was an honor. It was fun. And then after that, I went to humorous courses. So you win the award, and then you go off to humorous courses. And when they said, please send us a sample of a video or something of something you've done. So I sent my video of my European Championship speech and stuff. And when I got there, the guy said, you did two things brilliantly. And I said, what were they? What did I do? He said, rule of threes. Rule of threes. You create an expectation. So, you know, what size is her dress? Small, medium, or circus tent? And okay, which is a simple example, but it's always you set the stage and then you go exaggeratedly big, or you go in a different direction. Okay? And then there was the callback. But I learned that, and now I use those things all the time, and I'm not funny. But there are techniques to being humorous. There are techniques to writing stories, and one of them is for example, sitcom is a situation comedy. I talked about this in Amsterdam briefly as well. This is a formula for writing humorous TV shows. You have 30 minutes. The first 7.5 minutes, counting commercials, the first 7.5 minutes is about the situation. Okay, think of Friends. Phoebe has some big idea. Okay, then the next 7.5 minutes are the complication. It's not so easy, Phoebe, and all the friends start jumping in. And then the next 7.5 to 10 minutes is the confusion. And that's where we laugh our asses off. That's where we just laugh because the confusion is rampant and everyone's having fun. Okay? And then there's the resolution. They live happily ever after, and in fact, they do love each other. They're all friends. And next week, they don't learn any lessons and they start it all over again. It's humorous, okay? And that's what they used to do, and they still do it. This is a formula, so you can have formulas too. Now, in a pitch story, I have a model called POSE, P-O-S-E. You have a problem, you have an outcome, you have a solution, and the essence of it. And this is very good to use if you're in sales, for example, if you're pitching a client and you say, well, their business is kind of similar to another client that we solved a problem for. So that you go in and you tell the story of a happy client. Right? Now you can switch the O and the S around. You can switch and then you have a Spanish political party, PSOE. Okay? Okay? So you could switch it around, and I like the problem outcome because outcome is your value proposition. This is the value that we provided, and we can do it for you too. But you could, if it's chronological, it would be PSOE. But there was a problem, there was a solution, here's the outcome, and the essence is the reason we told you this story, which is, in classic literature, the moral of the story, the theme, el motivo. The moral of the story is, work with us and you'll be fine. Okay. P-O-S-E. Don't bury the E. Okay. Now, the art of the sale is that you open the meeting. Somehow, very often, we're required to open the meeting. I personally like it when when I get out of the lift and the client says, Jack, the reason we took the meeting is, I'm like, yeah, great, great. They're talking about themselves, because that's ultimately what you want to do. But sometimes they say, Jack, what have you got for us? Why did you call Jack in today? Okay? So then you have to open. And a story is a great way to open. And a story about a past existing client and everything. Okay? But remember, the purpose of opening, Mr. President, the reason I told you about China and India, Mr. President, is because I wanted to trigger an emotion in you, get you leaning forward, and I want you to do the talking. I want you to do the talking. Because the more people talk to you about the situation in their business, the situation in their lives, is the more they're going to trust you. The biggest trust builder is listening. And how do you do it? By asking great questions. Asking great questions is the killer app in engagement, and listening is the killer app in building trust. So, here we are, the yin. The yang is the aggressive one. Go out, hook them, pull it in, okay? Grab their attention, make them breathe heavily, okay? Make them lean forward, make them start sweating. I think when we're up here, it is not our job to make you uncomfortable with our presentation, with our skills, with our delivery. But if we make you uncomfortable with our message, it could be good. That could be good. If your message makes somebody uncomfortable because World War III is coming, that's good. You've hooked them. But then, what do you think we should do, Mr. President? We have some ideas. We wanted to hear it from you. And the minute the president, you, or whoever, when you start contributing to that, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself when you help me build the solution. If I sit there saying, and we should do this, and we should do this, and we should do this, yeah, he's selling. Of course he's going to say that. But if I say, what do you think we should do? And you say, we should do this, you believe it. It came out of your mouth. I say it, you may believe it. You say it, you believe it. It came out of your mouth. It came out of your mouth. Okay? So, engagement is asking questions and listening. Okay? Yin is the question asker. So, how do you do that? Okay? Well, again, I have models. I think it's a great thing to have models. It's a great thing to bring to training. Tactical questioning. Tactical questioning. When you earn the right to ask, you've gone in, you've hooked them, and they said, well, how did you do that for that previous client? You ask, you answer the question, never avoid the question, not suggesting you should, but whenever you answer the question, follow up with a question. You answer, you ask. So you say, well, we did this for them like this, or we think we can get China to the negotiation table by doing this. Do you have an opinion too, Mr. President? What is it? Right. So how did you do it for that client? Well, we did this, and we did this, and we did that. But before I go into too much detail now, I want to know, are you experiencing the same problem? How? Why? And then he or she who asks the questions leads the conversation. Have you ever been in a meeting where you start talking, and they start asking you questions, and they keep asking you questions, and 5 minutes later, you are not leading that meeting. The person asking the question is. So ask the question for the answer you want to hear. And if you don't get it, you might not be able to sell to them or persuade them or to get your pitch proposed anyway. Or you could say, well, here's one thing we could do. And they could say, oh, okay. And then how would that do? So first keep it open and see if they answer the question the way you would like it. Or to find another solution. That's what you're there for. And then suggest things, then kind of narrow it down. Lead them through. So this questioning model is, how much time do I have here? Oh, we're way ahead of schedule here. Am I going down or forward? Are we going down? Good. So this questioning model is when you've opened and they've listened, you want to start asking questions in a sales meeting, in any meeting where you want to persuade. 5 types of questions. This is the heart of questioning. Tactical questioning. Now, there are other tactical questioning models out there. Spin selling, for example. I don't like it for 2 reasons. Spin sounds manipulative. And it's only 4. And I believe that the 5th one is where the money is, to be honest. And that's an expression. Okay? Tactical questioning. If I was giving a 2-day workshop in sales for you, we would spend a half a day on questions. We would spend at least a half a day on these questions, let alone other questions. So, scope is the types of questions you would ask early in a meeting. And for all of these, you could always come back. You could always loop back. But you have to be conscious that you're doing it. Because if you go into a first meeting with a new prospect or the CEO and you ask too many of these questions, they could say, what, did we bring this guy in for a Harvard education? Right? The boss could say, what are you wasting my time for? Go find it out and then come to me. So you can't ask too many of these questions. The scope questions are the answers to which are facts. 150. Green. When the temperature falls below 0. The answers to those are facts. And as many of those answers as you can get before your pitch, the better. The benefit of them is they start the conversation going. Ask an easy question. You don't want to go in and say, what is the meaning of life? And they go, what are you doing? Huh? You've just asked me a question I can't answer, and I'm uncomfortable. So ask them a question of something that they can answer, that you need the information for probably. Be economical in these, so you want to get value to get this, but they get the conversation going. Ask too many, and you alienate them. The farther you go up inside an organizational chart, the more quickly you will alienate that person. CEO doesn't want to mess around with it. Somebody on their second day in the job in project management might be happy to answer them all day. The real, the diamond in the rough, how do you say that in Spanish? Somebody told me. El diamante en el bruto. El diamante en el bruto is challenge questions. And here, with anybody, a client, a CEO, a partner, talk to me, baby. Let me listen to you, baby. These are the challenges. This is not you challenging your target audience. This is you navigating the conversations toward their challenges. What are you guys up against? Is this working for you? That's a yes/no question. And when they say no, you go, why not? So you may ask a closed question and get a yes or no answer, or above 100 and below 100, and then when you get that answer, because that's easy to answer, and then when you get that answer, you say, oh, why? How? And you lean forward and you look them in the eye, because a sale is a love affair, okay? And you go deeper with them. I'm really interested. I'm really interested in your business. I am not here pushing a product. I don't know what you need yet. I want to discover your needs before I do that. So this is, what are you up against? What are your biggest challenges? Is this keeping the CEO up at night? How about the sales team? Are we aware of the differences between China and India? Because it's big. What's your view? What would happen if we don't do this well? So really, and when they answer the question, don't say, I've got a solution for that. I've got a solution for that, because you're breaking the trust. You're breaking the trust. You get them talking about their challenges, and you listen, and you ask another good question, they'll start trusting you. Wow, these people are good. They ask good questions. We trust people who ask good questions and listen. So, I am a knee specialist, rodillas. I am a doctor in knees. You are a human being. You have a financial life, you have a social life, you have a work life, you have a physical life, and one day you walk into my office with, you are a generalist in your life and I am a specialist in your knee. And you come to me and you say, doctor, my knee hurts. And I say, hey, let's transplant it. And I tell you what, make the decision today and you'll get 2 knees for the price of 1. Okay? You're not going to like me very much. You're not going to trust me very much. Okay? But this is what we need to do when we're selling or pitching. Right? Doctor, I have a problem. My knee hurts. Okay, yeah. Does it hurt in the morning, in the evening? Is it an acute hurt or is it a dull hurt? Are you a runner? What kind of shoes are you? Do you wear those shoes a lot? I don't know if those shoes are, look, roll up your pant leg here. Let me look. Okay? Look, on Friday I want you to come back. I want to give you an MRI. I have a feel between now and then, why don't you try a different pair of shoes and come back on Friday and let's talk more. You're going to trust me a lot more when I do that, right? Okay? So why don't salespeople do it? Why don't salespeople do it? Hey, buy two, get one free. You're pitching. You're doing the blatant pitching and not the customer focused. When you pitch, you want to get inside their hearts, and then you want to listen. And you want to listen. And challenges are the diamond in the rough. El diamante en el bruto. Spend a lot of time talking with people about their challenges and listening and going deeper and asking good questions related to your specialty in their life. Show them that you're valuable just by asking questions. The outcome is not the outcome that they desire yet. This is the fear thing. The outcome is the outcome of getting it wrong. I needed an O when I put this thing together. Score, by the way, means marcar. I needed an O. An O is the outcome of getting it wrong. What is the outcome? Where will you be a year from now if you don't change vendor? Where will you be a year from now if you don't make a decision at all? Where will you be 2 years from now if you neglect this? This is a very powerful question, but don't use it too much. Because if you use it too much, you'll show that you're manipulating. Use it once or twice and they won't know that you're manipulating. But actually, if you really do care about them, you should be asking this. So it is a little bit like, ooh, I should probably solve this problem. Okay, you want them to. You want them to buy from you. You want them to accept your proposal, even if it's not a sale. You want them to accept your proposal, right? That's what we're doing here today. But by showing them where they might be if they do nothing or if they do it wrong, and getting them to answer the question, they'll be motivated. Ooh, we could lose market share. Ooh, I could lose my job. Okay, let's solve this problem. But again, use that very, very short. And then the R question is the returns. This is the value. How would it help if we? How would it help if my team and I put together a little action plan, Mr. President, and you and your chief of staff look at it? How about if we do that next Tuesday morning? So you don't even have to be proposing, how about if we sold you something for $1 million and we solved your life's problems? How about if we go to the next step? And in doing that, in going to that next step, we'll do this. Would it help? Yes, it would. How? Okay, good. So now you've gone from the pain, the future pain. How am I doing on time? Yeah. You're going from the future pain to the, well, we could solve it, and here is the value, and you've just told me that it's valuable. You've just told me to value. And the E is the execution question. How would you like to move forward? People say that closing is so difficult. They get nervous when they close. If everything else has gone well, it's the easiest question. It's the least tactical. It's, how would you like to move forward? How would you like to move forward? And if they go, well, then you go, how about if we do this? And they'll either say, yeah, with a little tweak or so. So the power of questions. Have a sale, even if you don't use this model, have good questions that pull your audience through their solution, not push them through yours. Pull them through their solution. Don't push them through yours. The power of questions. And this is so yin. This is so passive. And yet it positions you as the expert. This is an expression that comes from American football. In American football, rough game, and when the game is over, the players have left skin on the grass. They left skin on the side of somebody's helmet. They have made a big investment. When that game is over, they left some skin in the game. That's where the expression comes from. It's now become an expression in the English language. Is if you're negotiating with somebody and you're you're in the hotel bar saying we're meeting with them tomorrow. Hey, you know what? They haven't put any skin in the game yet. We're putting all the skin in the game here. We're the ones doing everything. They're not. So that's where the expression comes from. And skin in the game is, at the conclusion of any meeting, brief pitch, brief conversation in which you want somebody to act in a certain way, okay, the extent to which they contribute to the next steps is the quality of the advance. This is golden in sales. My clients, very often, if I change their vocabulary, when they go out, they fly to Frankfurt, and they come back into the office the next day, and the chief marketing officer is saying, did you get an advance? Okay. And if you're doing all the work and the client is doing nothing, if you're pitching to somebody and they're not doing anything and you are, you're not getting an advance. They're not putting any skin in the game. The extent to which people invest in the next steps is an indicator of how motivated they are, and it's also a tactical tool. Sometimes people are interested in your solution. Sometimes they're interested in working with you, but they've got busy lives, and you leave and they don't have anything to do, and it drifts. And it drifts. And then you try calling them back, and they're hard to get a hold of. But if you can get them to do some of the work, they will call you back. They have a responsibility too. And when they do it, they're now 10% of the way there. They're now 10% of the way there. You make little investments along the way. When you invest 30% into something, you don't want to let it go. You don't want to let it go. Unless it's oh no, wow, we were blind. We got to cut and run. Fine, if something really goes wrong, this is no guarantee. But if you're just drifting, or if you're moving them along, so get your clients, get the people you're pitching to, you're proposing an idea, get little investments. Mr. President, how about Tuesday? Your chief of staff and you meet with my team. We have some solutions. We want your views on this by Tuesday as well. Okay. Always ask for something. You've put a lot of work into this. You've put a lot of work into this. Even if it's up all night thinking, you've put a lot of work into this. Small commitments. Okay? At the end of a first meeting, we want another meeting. We want them to be sending us files and PDFs. We want them, not even, we had a meeting. I had a client once and they were saying, we had a meeting and, next week we're going to be meeting with their marketing manager. I wanted to meet with the CEO. And I'm like, who else are you meeting with? The marketing manager and their agency. And I'm like, this is going well. This is going well. What your ego attached to meeting with the CEO? So always get little commitments. And very often, the ones that you don't think are valuable really are. Engage them in the next steps. So, yin and yang. Maybe you won't save the world from World War III. Okay? Maybe you will. Or maybe you will get somebody to approve your proposal. Okay? So, in the elevator pitch, lead with yang. It's your responsibility. If you want to get something done, be ready. Now, if they start talking, listen. But if it's kind of like, wow, what's the purpose of the meeting today? It's your job to say something that really resonates with them. Make it emotional as well as rational. Simplicity rocks. Simplicity moves people to action. Complexity is the enemy of emotional triggers and engaging people. So hook them with something very big, very quick, very compelling, very simple. Make it a story, make it a data. What's the problem? Here's an outcome. Here's a solution. Here's how we did it, and here's the reason we told you the story. Then flip it to questions. You don't have to use the SCORE model, but have your questions tactically planned. Tactically planned so that you're moving them in some direction. Go after the, what if you don't get this right? Where will you be? How about if we could help you by doing this? And get them asking the questions. Yang is aggressive. I'm doing the talking. I'm going to tell you a great story. I'm going to get inside your heart. And yin is, your turn. Tell me. And I'm really interested. I'm interested, baby. That's the sale as a level. Show me you're interested in me. When I get deals from clients, I always say, and when I don't get deals from clients, I say, why didn't you buy from me? And when I do get deals from clients, I say, we're packing up and great, okay, you'll have that in April and fantastic, okay. Before I let you go, why did you buy from me? And the answer, more than 50, now there's a multitude of answers, and more than 50% of the time, the answer is not, you had the best solution, you had the best price, you were here at the right time. They say, you understood us. You understood us. You understand our business, and we think, therefore, that you can handle it. Okay? A sale is a love affair. To know you is to love you. And if you're too busy talking, you're not knowing them. So grab their attention, listen, ask great questions. It's the yin and the yang. Tell me a story, and let me be the hero. The hero's journey of a great story. Harry Potter is a great hero. When you are the vendor, you are not the hero. The client is the hero. They are the ones struggling, and you are the mentor. So tell me a story, let me be the hero. And you'll win their hearts, and very often, not always, nothing's a perfect science, but if you do this, yin or yang, grab, yin, listen, make me the hero, you'll very often get the approval that you want. Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dad.
Thank you, Vincent.